Hello and welcome to yet another exciting episode of Game On here on SABC1. I am Sizwe Mabena, proud to be in your company at an exciting time with what's going on in Cote d'Ivoire at the Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations, as well as in England, in as far as the Premier League, and as far as who joins me today, got the regular legends. The way of Christophe Bong. Later on in the show, he'll join us in the third segment to talk all things AFCON. And of course, we welcome back Jerry Skosana, who will talk to us about South Africa and how they've done to get into the quarterfinals. But we start off with yet another legend. That, of course, is Shane Mcgregor. Shane, let's break down what's been going on out in England. The winter break, a thing of the past. We're back to the full fixture list now.
Full fixture list, including FA Cup games. So there's a lot of football been going on.
Sure.
So thank goodness they had a little bit of a rest. But, it's back to normal for the players, back to playing. I used to love it, as often as possible, because then it's less training.
Yeah, well, the fans are loving it. And I'll tell you what, for Arsenal, their fans would have loved what happened on Tuesday, of course, with the all-important 2-1 win over Nottingham Forest, keeping them in the running and keeping them within range, of course, of Liverpool.
That was the big thing there, was just getting the result, Forest have been going well, so that's a good result, especially for Arsenal. Keeping them in their top three, 5 points behind Liverpool, same amount of games, so we'll see what happens on the weekend. The
one game you and I spoke about at length last week and that we were both looking forward to was Aston Villa up against Newcastle. Aston Villa at home, Newcastle going through their difficulties over the last few months. Aston Villa's thereabouts with the teams in the chasing pack. Was it a shock to see Newcastle come out and smack Aston Villa 3-1 away from home in what some people are saying, and as far as the media, is a new look type of Newcastle?
No, it wasn't a shock. And why I say it wasn't a shock, if you remember as we spoke, you said it's a very difficult game. Both teams are going through a bad patch leading into this game. Villa seemed to have hit that bad patch at the wrong time. Results are going against them. But you must remember, Newcastle got players coming back from injury. And that's the big difference for them. They've had those players out for so long, getting back into action. Newcastle have always been a good team. They're always going to be there and thereabouts. They haven't spent money in this window, which I'm quite surprised at, but I think they're looking at the future, and they're going to be one of those teams. Once all those players are back, they'll be back firing, which they're doing now.
Now, Liverpool-Chelsea, everybody's talking about it, lots of phone calls happening, people bragging, depending on which side of the fence they stood. But a thumping 4-1 win for Liverpool, again, they're just looking the business right now. Good run of wins as well they've stacked up.
Yeah, very good run of points, and if you look at it, in their last 6 games, these two teams drew. So people look at it and say it is a bit of a result. For me, it was brilliant, I just feel that there's something definitely wrong in Chelsea. They got all the big name players, a very good manager, but they just don't seem to be putting it together. Liverpool, on the other hand, without Salah, without a few players, are still doing the job, still getting results, and that's a worry for those the other teams. They are getting results. We got a record, by the way. Game midweek. I mean, our striker, first time in Premier League history to hit the woodwork 4 times in one game and not scoring. So it's one of those things. Can you imagine if he had scored this?
I'm telling you, he's going to be one of the best in the world in the years to come. But I have to also mention the response from Liverpool following the big announcement that caught us all by surprise. We can't not talk about that. Jurgen Klopp, of course, gives the news that he will be walking away from Liverpool at the end of the season. And what a response against Chelsea.
Well, that's the players, that's exactly they want to do it for him. That club at the moment is one big family, and Klopp, I can understand where he comes from. If you look at the amount of pressure he's under, he does interviews every single day. He gets basically 1 day off a week when they play once a week, and that's hectic for a coach. That pressure does catch up to you. And you can see he looks tired. I particularly looked at him during the game midweek, and he looks very tired. He looks drained. So I think it's the players will try and win the league for him to give him a swung son. And, they'll put their best foot forward for the rest of the season, just trying to get something for him.
Now, let's move on. Look at the games that will be happening today. Of course, Everton have had their problems financially. We know they're at the 10-point start earlier on in the season. They're up against the Tottenham side that had a good result earlier on in the week.
This has got draw written all over it.
Really?
If you look at the history, head-to-heads, I think there have been 4 draws over their last 6 games.
Sure.
So I think this has got draw written all over it. Everton have got too much to lose. Spurs aren't firing. They do miss Son, a huge amount there. I think the draw.
Now, we spoke about Newcastle, great result at Aston Villa, at home, Luton Town. Now, after the struggles over the last 2-3 months, they need to, again, start racking up the wins here and get a bit of a good run going.
Yeah, even though Luton Town are playing well, I think Newcastle will be too strong for them in this game, so it'll be a banker for me in everything.
Now, with Aston Villa's struggles of late, they're away to Sheffield United. Great time to bounce back if they can? Or do you see Sheffield United being a bit of a pothole in the road for them here?
Oh, well, Sheffield United will be saying this is a great time to be playing Aston Villa, so you're going to look at it both ways.
Sure.
But for me, I think Villa will bounce back in this one and get the victory.
Now, many Manchester United fans weren't happy with the FA Cup win, 4-2, but still not convincing, according to many of the fans' opinions here. They're up against a side that over the years, it's always been a nice game, this. Manchester United, West Ham. West Ham at times have come up with the upset against Manchester United. How do you see this very? I'm seeing a very good game here, possibly for West Ham going into Old Trafford thinking they can win.
They probably will think that they can win, but I think a draw's again written all over the card. Man United are welcoming back a whole host of stars.
Nana included?
A whole host of stars. So,
sure.
They near their strongest team. I just feel the draw will be on the cards.
Biggest game of the week. Can't ignore it. Arsenal at home to Liverpool, both in the running. Arsenal want to pull Liverpool a little bit closer. Liverpool will know a win for them pulls them a little bit further away from Arsenal. This is a huge game.
Must win for Arsenal. Must win for Arsenal if they want to keep their run going and trying to compete for the top. A must win for them. Liverpool, I think, will be happy with the draw coming out of this game. But I do think that Liverpool will get the job done again against Arsenal. My one worry is the team Klopp picks. That's going to be the big thing. I hope Trent Alexander doesn't play at the back.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's the manager. He knows better. This is going to be a big deciding game for Arsenal. If they get beaten, they're out of the race. Simple than that.
Of course, we can't ignore Manchester City.
Big game.
They're away against Brentford. That's another huge one.
Big game. And I'll tell you why. Brentford are their bogey team.
Yeah.
If you ever look at the upset results against Man City, Brentford have got the results. In actual fact, I think they beat them the last time they played at home. Big game here. I think that this could be the Man City coming unstuck in this game. So I'll be worried and very careful of Brentford.
Well, so plenty to look forward to then. So will City be able to get over the hurdle that is Brentford that stands ahead of them? Will Arsenal be able to slow down Liverpool so the likes of Arsenal and City can start to catch up, including Aston Villa as well? We'll find out during the course of the next few days. Game On takes a short break. We come back and get into Team South Africa, Bafana, out at Cote d'Ivoire with Jerry Skosana talking about their win over Morocco and what lies ahead in the battles against Cape Verde and possibly more going forward.